A very warm welcome to all the viewers who are looking at this second episode of yoga. It is what we are saying is Kriya Yoga and the ancient form of the yoga. Basically, we are discussing about the in this ancient form of the yoga, which are termed in various other syllables, and mostly that we know it in a form that has been westernized a lot. In the last episode, I have discussed how and why people actually westernized it. Now, while we are starting with Kriya Yoga, let us first understand that how yoga itself works. Yoga, you can just spell it out as a part fold in between a wide range of exercises that are required for a soul to attain the fulfillment of the journey. The journey of the soul begins with the birth. It can be of any species, but when it is a human species, it has brains. It has the ways to understand himself as well as others. So when he understands about himself, he asks few questions, which starts with who I am or who am I. That's why this full pathfold is known as the knowledge of self. So when you start attaining the knowledge of self, you will see that all the gurus across the scriptures, across religions, has asked you to get inward. Now, when we say get inward, we say that there are certain rules to get inward. Kriya Yoga specializes in these rules. You can say Kriya Yoga actually deals with the eightfold paths defined by Patanjali, Rishi Patanjali. I have to mention because Patanjali today is one of the biggest Hindu business brands. So it was the Rishi Patanjali who defined it into 8 disciplines which are very much required to attain a certain state of concentration which will allow you to sit and meditate upon your Lord. When we see Rishi Patanjali doing this, there was a huge, you can say, what should I say? It's a rectification of Hinduism going on at that particular point and was being challenged by the ideals of Buddhism, Jainism, of Mughals, and various others. Fragmentations of the ancient literature of the fragments of the Vedas were coming up in different other forms. But what no one was narrating was whoever and whatsoever was coming up was parts and fragments of that same ancient old traditional Vedas, which were this actually the customization or the you can say the conceptualizations made by different rishis at different part of times. While we say that the Sanatan Dharma of Hinduism is actually not a cult, it is not a cult, it is a way of life, and as being understood by various literate souls at different time frames and at different age times. Now, when we say this, we got to understand that this particular Sanatan Dharma's start point was not defined with Patanjali. So, what Patanjali was defining, Rishi Patanjali was defining, he was giving a brief from Shiva Purana and a particular sorts from the Samaveda as well as Atharva Veda. Few Upanishads of this same particular Sanatan Dharma describes this full meditation process from core to the corest, from zero to the infinite. We say infinite because this is just a particular frame, a particular work going on. And when we say about Kriya Yoga, it is just a fragment of the whole procedure. When you start a journey, you make some preparations. You can say that this Kundalini Gyan or Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Kriya Tantra, however you term it, it is just the preparation for the whole journey. And when you make this journey, you have to know few questions. You have to ask yourself few questions which needs to be answered and your path to be determined. So when we say that the path needs a definition, we term it as Kriya Yoga. What is Kriya? Kriya in Sanskrit, it actually means the work that you are doing. To do is Kriya. Whatever you are doing to attain the last goal is Kriya. And when we say Yoga, it is means that it is the unitification. We are uniting. With whom we are uniting? Your soul is uniting with that of the higher, most we know as a wholesome soul or the universal soul, which in our Sanatan Dharma is traditionally termed as Paramatma. So this particular meditation form also deals with the knowledge of Paramatma, the Brahma Gyan. Now, when we are talking about Brahma Gyan, it is again a huge scope of things which not only folds Kriya Yoga within its path, but it folds others also variations. Now, this all are just part and parcel of knowing yourself, getting the full knowledge of Parabrahma and knowing that you are just a fragment of that particular Parabrahma. You have come from it and you will merge in it. You can say that I am narrating Gita. No, I am not narrating Gita. I am not narrating Bhagavad Gita uttered by the Yoga Guru Sri Krishna. He was one of the greatest yogis that this universe has produced. Sorry. It keeps on happening in my house. So, when I am defining you about the Kundalini Kriya Yoga, we will specialize few things just for understanding sake of act and our future actions. We will be sharing about the Kundalini Gyan over here. I will be sharing about the Kriya Yoga principles over here. And I will be sharing with you the few other forms of yogic traditions. Saying about sharing this knowledge, this cannot involve the whole universe of the yoga. Because if I go on emphasizing on that, it is going to take a hell lot of time, and I am not certain whether everyone will be interested with it. If we see that people are getting interested with us, then we will continue. As you people have already seen that we have announced membership, as well as we have already announced an online Gurukul system with the channel. You people can register yourself as a prelim members for the first time if just if you are just entering into it in the process of knowing yourself. If you are already a sadhak, you can take the specialized section of it, and we will be doing some special classes, and we will be doing some workshops online where we will be teaching you the arts of meditation. Now, when we are talking about Kriya Yoga, basically Patanjali Kriya tradition deals with 8 folds of meditations. It teaches a particular being. I'm telling you about a being because it's neither a male or a female, and anyone can do this thing, irrespective of their creed, color, their religious affirmation, or anything. I will appreciate it if the Hindus learn it more. The other religions can understand the wholesomeness of it, as well as they can compare the Sanatan Dharma with their own religious traditions. But every aspirant who wants to see God by its own form, by its own principles, and want to walk the path are ready to make the journey that will take them from an human body to merge in its human form with the higher soul will have to make this journey. There are no other alternatives, there are no shortcuts, and this needs be done in any form of tradition, in any form of meditation process that you might be doing yourself. Now, when we are starting with it, I will just first take the names which are mentioned in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which many of you are fluent about it. But when I will ask you some certain questions about it, you are going to give me round answers, and there will be a lot of beating around the bushes without any concrete matter. So let's start. To understand what self is, first you got to understand your posture, your body, your constitution. I always say, what's your constitution? I do ask you. And at that point of time, you people say, what is constitution? We have learnt about the Indian constitution, but we don't know what constitution you're asking about. Now, let me tell you guys, it's actually the constitution of your own self that actually matters for a yogi. When you are building up yourself, you are building up your concentration level, you are building up your own mind process, you need to understand your constitution. Because without the understanding, without the knowledge of your own constitution, you will fail in each and every level about it. That is why we ask you to do a SWOT of yourself. What is SWOT? I asked, you will hear in my other discussions also, that I always ask people to do a SWOT about themselves. What is SWOT? SWOT is SOWT. It is strength. S for strength. What are your strengths? Each and every person has an understanding of himself. You got to understand yourself better. Yoga teaches you to understand yourself better. So that's the first point what you are going to do. First, try to understand what are your strengths. Don't ask for your weaknesses first. First, go for your strength. What are your opportunities? How you can do the journey? How you can begin with your journey? First, before even trying to start the journey, understand what you have in your plate, what you don't have in your plate, what you need to acquire. What are the things that you are looking for? So while you are doing all this is it's a vast process, but these are the starting points of it. So S and O stands for strength and your opportunities. W is your weakness, obviously. When you are talking about your strengths, you've got to understand your weaknesses better. Yes, you got to understand your weakness better and you have to acknowledge them, because without understanding and without acknowledging them, you are not going anywhere. You say that I am a perfect person. Well, perfection is something that is an illusion. A perfect person is Godhead himself. Neither of us is perfect in any way, not even me. So let's accept we have certain weaknesses. Now start working on your weaknesses. That is identification of your weaknesses. And what are the other threats? SOWT, that is the last one. What are the threats that you have? Now, I have a very big threat. I have a very big threat. It is called Putra Maha. Everyone knows that. I am very close with my son. And I have a very loving being on, you can say, to any point that I go forward, I stretch myself for the people who I called my disciples, my sons, whom I protect. So I have a thread that is moho. So that is a threat in me. But some people will have ahankar. Some people will have anger issues. Some people do have other issues, but identifying it and acknowledging it is the first step that you need to have. Now, when you identify yourself, you have identified your constitution, you have identified your own self. Now you know what are the things you need to rectify, what are the points you need to work upon. So when this is actually your stage, not the York stage where you consider that anyone can come and hurt our religion and we got to bend down. No, that is not the York stage. That is can be a York stage, you see. Anyways, so over here we are talking about morals. There's a first principle of the Patanjali Yoga system we called YAMS or YAM. These are the 5 morals which need your restrictions. Then come 5 niyams or the observance that are required by a sadhak, which he has to do to attain a particular point of intellect, a particular momentum to go forward. In this particular journey, not only, but in your life's journey as well. If you are identifying this, if you are following this path, not only you are walking the journey of your life, but you can obviously take your life to a higher dimension. You can understand life better. You can work on yourself much more better. These are these are the basic steps. I'm not talking about sadhana. I'm not talking about any yoga form of right now. These are the 5 basic things that a person has to do. Are sorted. They will have to have this knowledge before they enter also, before they start even sitting with themselves. Then comes the asanas or the postures. That is how I ask you to sit with yourself. Self-sitting is very much essential. Sit with yourself. That is very much essential. Anyone who comes with to take a doctrine from me, anyone who wants to take my me as their guru, I always ask the aspirant, sit with yourself, understand yourself, do a SWOT of yourself. So now you know that why I ask you to do all these things. So when we are talking about asanas or postures, there are various of them, my dear. And if you are looking with the Patanjali, yes, the Haridwar Ram, what's his name? Anyway, the yoga guru, that Patanjali, what we are saying, we are talking now about the yoga guru Ramdev ji. What yogas he is teaching generally, the physical exercises that you do, the simple yoga classes that you attain, these are all called asanas. These are postures. You need them to attain that. I ask you for a sitting in one position or a still position for 2.5 hours, and then you say that after 1 hour itself our legs starts aching, so how are we going to sit for 2.5 hours? So that gives you the asanas. You need to learn the asanas. So when I say that you need to learn the asanas, people will come running that it's not possible for us to get into the posture corrections. So, but you can go and to the gym and do the posture corrections, but obviously you cannot do the Vedic things. That's very interesting to know. Uh, you can cover up certain things. If you are doing a Surya Namaskar, say, suppose you are doing a Surya Namaskar, itself, a Surya Namaskar is actually a set of 15 asanas done in a regular rhythm, which will give you head to toe physical conditioning of your total veins, your nerves, your bones, and that is a wholesome exercise. Now, when we are talking about the asanas, we divide it in three forms basically. One is the Hatha Yoga. Now, the Hatha Yoga is actually a false pronunciation because yoga unites and yoga subtracts. That's take you away. So, when we talk about Hatha Yoga, the Hatha Yogi is a form of that yoga principles which the yogis do when they are trying to attain some siddhis in different forms in the presence of a known guru and in the gurukul itself. So that was the principle. When a student has to have that brahmacharya for at least 12 years in a continuation path. So that is the first ashram of Sanatan Dharma we used to have in our Gurukuls. It was the time frame of a person's life starting from 5 years of age till 15, 17, 19, till 25, 20 to 25 years of age, wherever he attains the whole thing. Now, if we talk about this particular time frame of a person's life, his general body is actually just that of a mud. It's a block of mud. Now, it is up to the guru, or the guru system, the guru parampara, on the guru, how he want to do the scripturing. What he is saying as the, first the guru does the SWOT. So the guru knows that this person is capable of doing this particular thing in his life. So he will be bringing out, he will be cultivating that art within him. That is how Aryabhatta became a specialized person in his own crafts. That is how Panini became a known person in his own craft. So that was done within the Gurukul. So when the Gurukul used to do the scripturing, we never used to understand, the parents never used to know how the Guru is teaching, what the Guru is teaching. And they were not at all interested with what the son or the daughter is learning in the Gurukul, yes, the daughters also used to attain their Gurukuls. And the Gurukul were generally they it was a co-ed system, co-ed format of education. What you have seen that Hinduism is a very patriarch format of education system. It's a very false aspect, because when we talk about Rishi Vashishta, you also have to understand Rishi Arundhati. When we talk about somebody else, the wife of that particular rishi was also standing with him, doing the even better, and somewhere they were more known in the Vedic scriptures. If you are going through Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, you will find the Richas. They were termed as Richas. So they were much better known for their own crafts. So these asanas and postures were equally made favorable for boys as well as girls. So now you can understand that if you are learning these asanas in where your body is very flexible, so at that point of time, if you are learning it, it is very easy for you to adapt with those asanas or the postures that are happening in Hatha Yoga. Now, when you are starting the process at the age of 35, 40, 40 plus, 60, 60 plus, 80, 80 plus, it is obvious that your bones are not going to stay with you. Your sitting postures are not going to stay with you. It depends on the practice. It depends on how you are starting your life with. Now, when I started my life very early, I can still sit for 19 hours of a meditation with my backbone split in three parts. I have a very grave situation with my postures because my postures are not at all correct. So I have various injuries also, but I do manage to sit because I have that kind of an upbringing from the very small age. But these asanas and postures are required to certain extents. So we will be talking over here only about 8 to 23 asanas that are actually required, which we will be sharing with you slowly and steadily. Then comes pranayam or mindful breathing. Everyone breathes. Whoever is alive do breathe. But mindful breathing is when you are calculating how you are breathing. Yes, this matters. There are nadis which the Vedic tradition teaches us. One nadi is very different from the other, and each and every nadi breathes onto itself. Many people will be surprised to know that yes, even your skin breathes. That is how when your skin is breathing, it's glowing. When it is not breathing, it is dull. When your skin is breathing, you are perspiring. If your skin is your pores are totally blocked, there is no sweating. The perspiration doesn't happen. But perspiration is one form of excretion that is a very grave requirement by a human body as per the medical conditions goes. Then when we are turning more inward, we go to pratyahara. Pratyahara is actually turning inwards. We at the stage of pratyahara again go back to the niyams. Now, another thing I would like to mention over here, this particular 8 stages, these are actually compulsion for your body to do, for your mind to do, as well as your soul to do to attain the final goal. If you think that only my body will do and my mind will not do the niyams, you are doing the biggest mistake of your sadhana life. When after pratyahar means it is you are turning your mind inner side. Means from physical body to mind, from mind to soul plane. You are moving inward. You are going towards him. That is what the Pratyahar states about. After that comes your dharana. So the people who say that yes, I sit for dhyan. Next time, don't interpret it as dhyan. Say, I am doing my breathing exercise, or I am doing my pranayama. You are doing pranayama. Having a dharana, it is a huge thing in itself. It means you have already performed the niyams, you have done that, first you have done the yams, then you have done the niyam, then you have done the asan, then you have done the pranayam, then you have done the pratyahar, then you are doing the dharana. But just sitting like this and I am doing dhyan, sorry, you are quite grossly mistaken, my dear. Dharana is the process of doing concentration. What you say that I am doing meditation, you are actually doing a concentration exercise. You are doing a dharana. Suppose you are meditating on any format. You are doing in forms, you are doing for any shape, you are doing for any candles, the light or the mind exercises, all these are called dharanas. Dharana, in other way you can interpret, is having a conception about a certain matter. When you are just conceptualizing that how I am going to attain my dhya, means how you are going to see him. You are just trying to make a form within your mind about your Isht, about the person you want to meditate upon, about your Ishta Devi or a Devta or whatever symbols you want to do, whatever format you want to see him in, whatever from gross to material, from material to non-material, supermaterial, superficial, whatever form you want to make him. So that is what the dharana is. When your dharana gets solidified, when you are just sitting, you are in a gaseous stage. Your dharana is also in the gaseous stage. Your mind traveling from one place to the other, from other place to the other. That is in the gaseous stage. I can resemble with some, if you say that, just to give you a practical explanation, I can say that your mind or your concentration is in the gaseous plane. It moves, the particle moves from one place to the other very fast. Then it gets liquidated. That means it starts setting in one structure. You try to visualize him in form of Shiva, in form of Kali, in form of Narayan, in form of Lakshmi, in form of any idol that you are close with, your mind is close with, you can relate to. That can be anything, from gross, from material to non-material, from non-material to non-existent body. It depends on your concentration level, on your willpower. Also, it depends of how far you have been working upon. There are certain people who sits the first day with his mind and the second day they start visualizing. That happens in two formats. One visualizing happens due to the flaws within the mind. Whatever they have read, whatever they have heard, whatever they have thought about, whatever they have related to, whatever they have seen in WhatsApp University, Facebook University, or in YouTube University, they are conceptualizing it. So as I said, the dharana is the conceptualization of anything gross. So whatever they are conceptualizing, they are just closing their eyes and they say, I am seeing this. But this particular person, when he enters a solidification stage, his mind solidifies, his thinking solidifies, then he says, I am not seeing anything, I am not hearing anything. I am one pointed. My mind is right now solid and static. I have acquired the level of static position, not the static electricity level. Even you can explain that way also, that when electricity is in a static position, it comes to a particular conductor. So here your conductor is your ishta. So your static electricity that form will give you that vibration, and you say, my kundalini is being jagged. You get your nerves sensation across your body from different parts. You see your energy points getting activated. So that is why the static electricity I compared with. So that is what happens when you are getting closer and closer. When that electricity position gets rock solid attire, then you get a dhyan. You start doing dhyan. Now in dhyan, there comes certain stages, and if I equated them, they can be differentiated into 5 different stages which leads to samadhi. Now, these 5 stages are not classes. They cannot be elaborated in that fashion, but they are all interlinked with one or the other. And when I say that they are all interlinked with one with the other, I mean that they are actually interlinked. When they travel from one section to the other, you will not be able to differentiate your mind that how it is moving. A yogi generally takes nearly 9 years to go this transformation, from starting of the dhyan to getting the first glimpse of samadhi or the first stage of samadhi. So if I equate it in a life form, you will require at least 16 to 20 years of hard, relentless and systematic practice to get to PIO, to get to know yourself. So this is the whole process. Now don't get terrified when I have explained you the whole process that, oh my God, it's going to take me 20 years of time. No. There are certain things that you can do. You can make this time frame short. How? Stay tuned. I will talk to you in my next class about how you can shorten it. And we are going to elaborate this full process in huge elaboration for you to understand it better. And before that, we will be talking about how to know your constitution. Stay tuned in my next class.